Getting everyone into order here for Section 2. As we'll pan across and see the assembled group. Looks like we may have lost a few athletes along the way. There is Leo Young. Brother Nico was competing for the United States in Tallahassee last weekend at the World Cross Country Championships. I was down there with Karui Tollefson. Really a fun event. Third time in the history of the World Cross Country Championships. They were held on U.S. soil. U.S. picked up some hardware on the under-20 side. Performed pretty well in the senior events. Were you able to watch any of that, Dan? And did you ever think you'd see runners running over wooden crocodiles in a World Championship event?
Well, and what's interesting is pictures begin to come out of that World Cross Country Championship course, and it looked a little wonky, to tell you the truth. But just like you said, it was a very well thought out course, and last World Championship they put hay bales up so athletes ran around them and they ran over them. But here on this particular course, you had to negotiate all the obstacles, whether it was stepping into the water, whether it was running into the sand, and I think it really provided for a challenging but a unique, fun course. Certainly a lot of people outside of the world-class athletes had an enjoyable time running on it. But what's interesting to me is to see all of the distance runners. They will try and figure out how to not negotiate some of those hazards, and the officials had to step in almost to the field of play to make the runners run through the middle of the water. They were figuring out how to dip to the side, run to the side, and not get their feet wet, so to speak. But I thought it was a great course, and like you said, big crowds, fun to watch. But the anticipation of an event like that here in the United States, I thought brought a lot to the cross country season.
Yeah, on the heels of what we saw at the NCAA championships, with a few runners running sort of adjacent to the course. No one was disqualified as a result of that. They were really adamant to the athletes, and were reminding them several times through even to the call room that they would be forced to run through those 5 obstacles. Single file running here in Washington, though, as I was going to make mention of the fact that Evans Karui was wearing a ski hat, and he has decided it's warm enough to take that off. He's running in 3rd position right now. He's just in front of Leo Young. And Tottenson, who ran earlier today doing this pace-setting duties, Ruben Reyna, is right behind him in 2nd. 2:04.5 is our split from the 800 meters. As we keep an eye on the time here, fastest time collegiately, in fact, most everything on the list right now, indoors at 3,000 meters, came from that season opener at BU. And Colin Salmon running 7:36.71 back on December 6th. That marked the beginning of the official 2026 indoor season. But they're running single file line here with 8 athletes in this lead pack, and now count at 7. Karui, almost a disaster there as he got kind of off, and I think coming off from that rail to the track where it's just the cones, struggled with that a little bit. Those rails have to be installed on the corners to make this a fair race of 3,000 meters. But now the race at the front with Ruben Reyna and Karui. See Nathan Neal moving up just a little bit, up into 6th position. And then it's Young. James Dargan of Stanford is there. And Karui now a couple strides off the lead as they'll come down the main straightaway.
Well, Paul, what a fantastic pickup for the University of Washington, Ruben Reyna, because you got a lot of incoming freshmen that it's going to take some seasoning to get them going, to get them running the fast times that they certainly want at the University of Washington. But with Ruben Reyna, you bring an athlete in who's been successful at the SEC level, been in an SEC final, been in multiple NCAA championship finals, and he can kind of bridge the gap from those older athletes kind of moving from their senior year onto the post-collegiate to the freshmen that are coming in. Ruben Reyna comes in as a junior, and already he's been to many, many championships. He adds instant credibility, and he can help bring up some of these young freshmen as they get going into the program.
Pretty swift 1,600 meters, split of 4:08.5, and Reyna gonna settle for a little less than that 3,000 meter distance, and that gives way to Evans Karui of Washington State as he's full of run and with the lead, and a sizable one of that as we move into the back half of the race.
Well, Karui, I saw that stumble as well, Paul, and I think what happened is when Josiah Tossenson, when he stepped off the track, it looked like Karui almost was following him off into the infield, and you just got to be really careful. Another reason why you just can't follow the guy in front of you. You got to look down at your feet, make sure you're in the lane properly, and sometimes, you know, the track, when you go onto the straight right there, you see lane one goes inside of those cones, so you got to be careful of that as well.
Karui made his appearance at the NCAA Cross Country Championships in Missouri, finishing 17th overall after being the runner-up at the West Regional race. Enjoying a sizable advantage on the rest of the field. James Dargan now leading that group of four that are trying to close this gap, but they're running out of time as Karui, really the one that took advantage of the pacing up front, and that advantage is now 25, maybe 30 meters on the rest of the field as he gives a thumbs up to the officials with 2 laps to go. Karui in total control. He's going to say hi to everybody as he's running around the track.
Well, and it's nice to see some of these top runners from Washington State show up to this meet and compete, because we are hearing rumors that some of them were having a hard time getting back to campus after Christmas break, whether it was from another country or even some travel plans to get up here and compete. So it's nice to see Karui on the track.
Evan Jenkins of Washington is now in the second position with that group, trying to close the gap as Karui continues to have a little bit of an advantage. That advantage is narrowing very quickly, and this one may be turning into a race. Let's see if Karui looks over both shoulders. He realizes he's got some company now with 1 lap to go, and Jenkins and Young trying to make this one a fabulous finish as they're within about 7 meters, heading to the backstretch for the final time. And Karui still got the lead, but it is not a done deal yet. Let's see what Jenkins and Young can do. They're fighting hard. Karui's beginning to tighten up. Karui, Jenkins, and Young. Karui and Jenkins. Karui and Jenkins, and it will be a photo finish as Karui threw up his arm, but it's not enough as Evan Jenkins of Washington wins the 3,000 by 0.02 of a second.
Oh, Paul Swangard, the lessons you learn in the sport of track and field: never celebrate too early. And Evan Karui celebrated with about 2 laps to go. And it was not over. I think Evan Jenkins got him here. Here we take a look. Just over 2 laps to go. Go for it, Paul.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. And what a close, Dan. in the final going. I don't even see the finish there. Maybe we can get a re-rack of that closing stretch. Here we pick them up now as they're coming into the final stretch. And look at that gap close so quickly. Karui looks gassed at this point, but when he feels Jenkins on his shoulder, reacts to it. And watch Karui throw the arm at the end as it's torso to the line, but Jenkins brings the full torso 0.02 of a second, and that gives him the victory. Oh, what a way to spend our last